I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, and I'll say no surprise about.
Where'd the glasses come from?
What are you talking about?
Where'd the glasses come from?
What glasses?
You've upgraded a little bit here, Gabe.
What's going on?
Oh wait,
I think some influence.
it's a G2 game going on. This is why this is here. These are here. I gotta blend in a little bit. Gotta fit the criteria that's around me. Okay. But I do want to talk about DP specifically. I mean, I played against these guys. It's no surprise to me that they got that 7-2 over Los. I mean, the way that they play the map. You have an idea of what they do, but they work around the map. They'll send 2 or 1 person just kind of doing off on their own thing, but they always find those picks and they come back together, work through it, and the round in sync. It's a no-brainer to me that they got that 7-2. And then you were talking about vibes. Their vibes are good going into G2. I mean, that Scars game. They didn't have the knowledge that Scars had, and they still just stopped Scars in every single moment of the rounds and just closed it out in a beautiful fashion of a 7-1. So I have no doubt in my mind that if G2 can keep up that strong wall that they had against Scars, they can look good. But at that same time, Scars wasn't throwing any, back flanks or side flanks like Dplus possibly can.
Right, and I think Dplus, they come in with really strong plans on attack. They always know what they want to do. I think we saw this in the Korean League, and we saw it again yesterday against Los. That game against Los, they wanted to focus on drones, isolate whatever Solus or player was out on the roam, find that guy, and then push into sight without letting them get their trades back. And they executed that perfectly. I thought Coded was really good with his drones, finding out players who maybe weren't paying too close attention to where those drones might be at, maybe setting up some flank drones later for the team when most of the players were dead to go for that execute. And then it was Yas constantly on the entry, rocking that Finka, making so much space for his team. And again, never getting traded. They did really good job at pushing in, finding those picks. Yeah, sometimes the aggression got the better of them. Sometimes they got jumped out on, and that didn't go great for them.
It happens.
Yeah, all in all, though, when it came down to the basics, the fundamentals, they were really, really impressive on Consulate. And so I'm hoping they can replicate that on wherever we go today.
Coded on Dplus, obviously, this seems like the standout player, and we can't not talk about Slim Shady. Obviously, on G2 side, Alamau put up great numbers and had the character to boot, so it was great watching them play. But we got to get into this thing because everyone in the lobby is already ready. It's map veto time. Jesse, where do you think we went?
I don't know, Jacob. I thought there's a lot of good options for G2. A lot of places that they could have ended up on. I thought maybe a Night Haven because both these teams do tend to play it quite a bit. But it's a tough map ban to predict.
I like that. I think it's maybe one of the newer maps. I think both teams are maybe a little comfortable on that, so I am curious to see where this does end up.
All right, I'm ready. Production, are you ready? Is it time?
What is it?
Is it map veto time? 3, 2, never mind. We're not doing the snap thing this time. We're getting cons instead.
All right, so right, one of the newer maps. I love that.
Yeah.
Dplus played this yesterday, and it was a really dominant map over Los. They're going to be feeling good at it. For Dplus, they're undefeated since the map came out. They combined yesterday's win with 2 wins in Korea, 3-0 record overall. Not bad for G2. They've got 2 wins, but it was a 15-round win over Heroic in Europe and a 10-round win over Fury here in Atlanta. I got to imagine G2 were watching that game. They saw the playstyle that Dplus want to go for. They saw how sometimes those aggressive jump-out plays did work well against Dplus Kia, and maybe they're trying to exploit that, but just based on a recency bias, I got to imagine Dplus are feeling very good coming into this map.
I got to say it's a 50-50 because yes, G2 does have the most recent VOD, and from personal player experience, you can't really change a whole lot in a day.
Of course.
You can maybe just move someone around, maybe change a few things, but you aren't going to change the entire strat. So that alone, G2 does have that advantage, but that going into against DP and how they play, sure, they might have the structure, they need to do what's done, but it's those couple players that they maneuver around the map is what can really throw off if you have an idea and what they do and catch you off guard. So G2 really has to be on top of that and paying attention to where those players are rotating and how they're moving around the map.
All right, it's time to see which team is actually able to keep an undefeated streak going in the Swiss bracket. It's G2 and Dplus in our first game of round 2, and it's Derry Desertchu Holt and Tim Ace of Pyrite Lever.
You forgot the Timothy part again, Tim.
I don't think he's listening to us.
You're just doomed to be Tim. No, screw you, Jacob. You don't need to know his full name anyway. Welcome to the desk, guys. It's going to be a fun one this first game. I think there's a lot of questions about this one. G2 look on fire so far this competition. Dplus, I'll give you causing a bit of an upset yesterday against a pretty flat lost side. Was it a one-off? Is it a flash-in-the-pan moment? Or is this actually going to be a banger where they could cause a second upset in just as many days? Unsurprisingly, Tim, everyone at home behind G2.
If you were asking me that 12 months ago, I'd have said, yeah, Dplus are going to come through and just going to run through this tournament. They're going to be great. They're going to be, they've given me reason to distrust them with their performances over the last 6 months or so. They've shaken my unwavering confidence in them. So now I'm not convinced. But today, I said this before we came on air, I absolutely love day 2 of Swiss because this is where we start really finding out. This is where we start separating those teams that are going to go unbeaten, that are going to head through, to those final stages, and the teams that actually looked great yesterday, but maybe it was a little bit of a blip and they're not going to look as great today. And I absolutely love that. So we'll see as the day progresses who falls into which brackets. But G2 going to open things up. I think it was G2 with the Thermite ban yesterday. They're going to take the Lion ban today. Not too much of a surprise. It sort of falls into that Dokkaebi bracket. We've seen a lot of Dokkaebi bans, but we saw G2 leave Dokkaebi so that Doki could play her yesterday. So we'll see whether that comes back in again or not today. Ying is going to be our other attacker.
Yes, we've seen Ying used an awful lot, not just for site executes, but also for clearing large parts of the map. In fact, G2 are the ones who, at the very hands of another team, had to deal with Candelas being dropped inside of construction on Oregon, which blinded Uno on the Fenrir. He also banned away, just sat inside of the double doors. And after the round, we heard him saying, well, that's actually great. It's such a good counter. It's a great way to deal with a Fenrir. It being offline, I think you're going to see in a lot of games throughout this competition, alongside things like the Dokkaebi. The one thing that has slipped the ban net an awful lot, Tim, has been the Solus. And unsurprisingly, it does mean a lot of defensive teams are bringing it along, and it is restricting the amount of information that teams are then able to pick up. And it's leading to a lot of flanks, a lot of players being caught out unawares, which equally is very exciting to watch if you're a fan of the defensive team, but it can be frustrating to watch as the attacking team.
Yeah, I feel like Solus falls into that. Occasionally we get this kind of weird area where they're difficult to play against, but they're equally powerful to use. So teams sort of don't ban the operator out so that they can take advantage of it themselves. And they're not necessarily sort of frustrating and oppressive enough in that way that you think, oh, just get rid of them, just ban them. But they are still very, very useful. And I feel like Solus falls into that area. Whilst I don't question her power, her abilities, fantastic. Does she feel oppressive to play against? And I don't feel like it does. It's not one of those operators where it's really frustrating to play
I would
against.
argue it's not directly
No, you
oppressive.
just sort of quietly lose your drones and stuff.
And then you get flanked later in the round, but you don't realise it at the time that that's because of what Solus did earlier in the round.
exactly that. So I think that's maybe why she just sort of slips through those bans sometimes.
Well, for me, there's Mute, Mozzie, and Solus on side here. I would be shocked if Dplus even get a sniff of the site with the drone in one of these rounds.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong side. No, no,
Sorry, mate, you can just stay blind on the left-hand side, it's fine. The one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing exactly how G2 capitalise on the lack of drones that no doubt will come through in the later parts of these rounds. Because that, again, is their ability to punish by hitting them on the flank. We always hear, oh, Consulate's such an amazing map, oh, it's so hard. Like, it's not, but teams will be able to capitalise on that and punish Dplus. At least you assume they can. Not forgetting that Dplus have played this map 3 times across Stage 2 in the Major so far. Clearly very comfortable coming to this map.
Defensive side then is Piano and Exhibition. Exhibition?
Exo, yeah.
Exposition.
I've heard like, it's called Exposition, but I've heard Expo.
That was what threw me. I said Exhibition, I thought that's not the right word.
I've heard museum, I've heard trophy, I've heard books, I've heard so many
Exposition was the word that I couldn't locate. So yes, that is going to be Piano. So G2 going to be trying to hold on to the top floor. Alamo pretty hands-on to holding admin. He's getting right up there, getting aggressive, having a little look. Courted may well come to sort of blows, come head-to-head pretty soon. Alamo's actually taking that opportunity to dip back. The Sharks are circling at the minute, certainly needs to be careful. But 1 minute 40 wasted. This is not bad from G2.
Dplus have been really conservative with their drones. I was really keen to watch it in this round, but up until just a second ago, they only had 2 out on the field. They had 4 sat in back pocket. They've really wanted to keep them away from the Solus, only using them when absolutely necessary to push on forwards. And as you've seen from Alamo, he's very happy to step up and contest inside of admin itself. Now, Coated has no idea that he's walking in blind and towards Benja, and this is what I mean. When you can't drone anything out, they'll catch you with these kind of plays that otherwise would be dead easy to figure out with a little bit of drone work. So great strategy coming into this round by G2.
Dplus could be in trouble if Benja's going to find his form and start firing like he did yesterday.
Oh boy.
Absolutely on fire. Soldier does manage to catch the back end of somebody. No, doesn't land any shots actually. I think it was Alamo that was just running away from him but didn't manage to find any. Does find a kill for himself though onto onto Harper. Doki finds one as well. Soldier with a little bit of an island in the middle of a storm there as Benja manages to get the trade as well. 4 versus 1, and it's going to be all up to Woogieman. Dplus just not really present in this round, to be honest with you, Des. They've not taken any control. They've not really troubled G2. They've not had any vertical threat whatsoever. They've not really managed to establish them inside of themselves inside of Consulate.
Nice little trade coming in. What I do love is every kill that wasn't them getting to shoot someone who wasn't aware that that player was there was a trade. Think about Soldier Swing, for example. I forget it was. I think it was Alamau that was dug inside a console office there, tucked in the cubby, and got swung on once a flash came through. Immediately, there was a response from Meeting Room, and they got the trade coming in. You saw it there in the very final kill of the round. G2 doing what G2 best, playing aggressive, but playing together quite crucially.
Certainly are. We'll head into round 2 with G2 taking an early lead then. And these are, as I said, coming in before round 1. These are the questions that are going to get answered. Dplus yesterday, their performance was excellent. I don't want to take that away from them. But, I mean, you know, maybe not what we've come to expect every single game.
I didn't even see that, but again, they weren't aware Alamau was there. No. Like, it's a similar story here. Like, okay, that one you haven't really given a chance of. The trade that came through I was looking for onto the cubby player was the one. But again, here, great bit of trade play coming out, just ready. G2 just looks so composed.
This is what I mean, and Dplus, you know, had a performance that surprised us a little bit yesterday. G2, however, are looking sort of peak performance, and I feel like that's the difference. G2 are looking consistently good at the minute. Dplus, the questions will be answered throughout the rest of this, but that first round just makes me wonder a little bit how much they are going to be able to sort of deliver on that. They're going to be attacking console this time, up onto the top floor, so much the same. G2, I would expect to see the hold that we've seen them, I won't say pioneer, but they've done it very, very well. That outside of meeting door vending machine, top of Visa stairs. G2, you know, they love to put Doki in there, and they're just very, very difficult to dislodge. So we'll see whether Dplus, A, are prepared for it, and B, how they deal with it.
No shield to set up, though, at the top of the hallway. But I think, to be honest with you, so many teams are running that now that there has to be different strats you're bringing along. And a few teams this tournament so far have made use of his army to make certain areas more defendable. In fact, Dplus used it in their game yesterday when we had Yas zipping back and forth on the defensive side, causing absolute havoc along that hallway. And I love here how for G2, we aren't seeing a repeat of the previous round, trying to abuse the Solus to mute the Mozzie. It is a total change-up in style and strategy.
Yeah, just making sure that things are clear before heading on into admin. Uno is on the opposite side of there, and he was waiting, I think, for exactly that noise. He was using the audio cue of the rappel coming through, and that's an absolutely beautiful pre-placed nitro. Yes, never stood a chance.
He did not. Just again, not really getting the information below.
Another one.
C4. It's like going fishing for these guys. I mean, Benja, I mentioned it before, but back at SI, he was top for explosive kills with about 34. In second place with Foxay with 17. He doubled second place for the number of C4 and frag grenade kills that he got at that tournament. You are going to see Benja doing this all tournament long, and it is so hard to stop him.
We've got Woogieman working up Spiral whilst Harper is still inside of admin, just trying to take these battles, open the wall, just trying to dislodge G2 in any way possible. Sends out the flash to provide a little bit of cover, but Uno, he's well aware of Woogieman coming up to the top of Spiral here, and Woogieman, whether by luck or measurement, is going to drop himself back a little bit.
We're 2 minutes in, and they're only just getting break opened up as well. These C4s have been so disruptive, and it's forced Dplus to rethink everything, double, triple check every single step they're making. They haven't even started challenging into this main hallway yet, really. Woogie working his way up. He's definitely going to work in towards that. A great nade onto Benja, who was sat behind the vending machine. So they are starting to break it open more from the north side here than from the east, but they've still got to work their way in, Tim. These two players out towards the east, Soldier and Harper, are all that's left.
Virtue does manage to pick up Woogieman eventually. I feel like a little bit of a mistake from G2 there. I mean, you know, let's not discount the fact that it was good play on the side of Woogieman, but I feel like G2 knew that he was in that position. Uno was watching it, but he was still able to pick two up. Doki, he closes the round out, but G2 just need to be careful of that. They've got Woogieman moving up Spiral. Uno's watching it. You feel like they've kind of got half an idea, but he still comes away with 2 kills in the mid-round. They can't really allow that to happen. That's going to be something they need to be careful of. That's the sort of moment that can turn around, but G2 did react well, and they got the round done 2-0.
That's where they need to adapt well in that midpoint round as well. It's all good having a plan, and the thing is, a lot of teams will plan out strats and say, right, assuming we have 5 players. This player's sitting there, they're holding that angle. This guy's watching over there. They simply can't kill us. Like, this defense is great. That's all well and good until you lose a player or two. Then it becomes a big issue. So with the way that they've played that out, I think, sure, Woogie's done great to capitalize. He's got the opening kill. He stepped forward with the frag grenade and secured a second. Really good play by him, and a great bounce here onto Benja towards your left. Was also ready to get swung on, which was the right idea, but G2, I thought, adapted really well by having that player behind long desk to cover that hole in their defense, and Doki then was really all that was required to hold on to the main hallway. So again, G2 just adapting their shape mid-round really, really well, even if Dplus, Woogie especially, did well to capitalize on the space while it was temporarily open.
Yeah, I know I'm being very, very critical by picking up on that double for Woogie. At the end of the day, he's a great player and he's going to find kills if given an opportunity. But yeah, it was a good defense from G2, and it's literally one of those. If there was anything I could say about it, it's, be careful not to give them those opportunities. But they're going to head down to the bottom floor this time. It's going to be Garage. G2 at the minute, first 2 rounds don't really look close to losing one. They've been on top of this so far. Again, another really widespread defense here. They're sort of all over the map.
All within 2 or 3 seconds of each other.
Yeah, that's it. It's those links between each other. Yeah, you can play somebody bottom floor and top floor, as long as you got somebody mid floor in between to be that link who can support either. And G2 are doing a great job of that, not allowing anybody to be singled out, which is something that, I think it was Doki said in his interview yesterday that they did. Was can we find anybody? Can we isolate anybody? Where can we get those gaps?
It off. Managed to keep the wall closed at least for now. And is that the... No, still got one in back pocket. Gonna say, this round again, Solus, Mute, Mozzie. All about that oppression on the info game, and that's why Woogie can't even get inside the building right now. He did take the approach of taking a breaching round, though, and blowing the desk open, which forced Benja away, but there was no one there alongside Woogie to capitalize once he got opened up. At least here they're having some entry success, though, Tim. It's Coated finding Doki, and Coated had a hell of a game yesterday, hasn't got a kill for himself outside of the one he collected just now. I really hope we see him warm into this game and deliver like he did yesterday.
Alamau is going to level things up with one against Yas. Yas and Coated, of course, being the 2 big players yesterday, so taking either of them is always going to be a big positive. G2 getting caught out up on that top floor. It was Doki who was playing up there, coming out with the nitros again. I don't know whether that's going to find a kill. The explosion doesn't seem to. Alamau manages to find Coated, though, and those are the 2 big players on the side of Dplus Kia over the last couple of days that you'd be hoping to take down. But Woogie, I was going to say Woogie Man is still a thing, but he's not, as he gets removed by Benja, who picks up a cheeky double, and all of a sudden, in a matter of 15 seconds, we go to a 4 versus 1 in favour of G2.
Harper stood in the entryway to the building here. Like, they've barely managed to set a foot inside Consulate because G2 have just been ready, and really with Coated getting inside of the west hallway. That feels like the furthest they got inside the building, and even then it's just in through a very short walk from the window out towards yellow. So G2 again just making this look extremely easy right now. And I remember actually seeing a tweet yesterday from Coated to Doki, basically just saying, please go easy on us. Because they really expected to get slammed about in this game, and so far that is exactly what is happening. I think maybe we'll see a timeout after this round as well.
You're taking a risk taking G2 to Consulate.
Taking them anywhere, Tim.
At the minute, yes.
The thing is, Consulate's not even a top map for them. It's like a mid-tier map.
It's not, but
they're using it to play against weaker
performances.
teams.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
We've seen some great performances, and if G2 can find the space on Consulate, they will hurt you with it, and that's exactly what they're showing us. Dplus just, I think, maybe leaning into that tactical timeout, just taking the opportunity to grab a few seconds of chatter before they may choose to do that tactical timeout. So it just extends it a bit. They sort of sacrifice the end of the round. They 1v4. They know they're not going to win it, so they just sacrifice the end, and it sort of just prolongs that tac timeout for them.
Talking about playing Pulse. Won't hear too much from the Korean side, I imagine. But I was actually looking at the stats here just to check actually on the maps, because I know coming into yesterday, or even into the actual tournament, in terms of like map preference, and this is a system that a few of us use where we assign weighting to a map based on when a team bans it in each of their map bans, how often they play it, if they win it, all that kind of good stuff. Consulate was 5th, 6th rated for them, and I looked at it as, okay, it's a really good map for them to play against weaker teams, Fury, Dplus here, to not show their best maps, and they'll save that for the big games when they come up against big teams, likely in the elimination stage stage, assuming that they don't find themselves down 0-2 or 1-1 with the risk of potentially being 1-2 with the risk of being knocked out. So I think here what they're doing is, again, bringing it out against Dplus. It is pushing Consulate up in their rankings. Right now it sits as a top 3 win rate rise. It's actually their 4th highest win rate map. Or round win rate, so to say. So I think it's still a good map for them. It's just one they're very happy to bring out when other teams are willing to go to it and say, look, we ain't got to show much on this map and we're very comfortable playing it. I think it's very quickly going to grow into a G2 favorite that teams are going to start fearing, though, because the way they play it is looking extremely comfortable.
Yeah, it's difficult.
And flexible.
I mean, don't forget, in the interview yesterday after Dplus won, they played on Consulate against Loss, and they looked very, very good. And Heimberg, the coach, said, we feel that Consulate is one of our really good maps. That's why we were happy to go there. So this is a map that Dplus feel confident on, feel comfortable, feel like it's one of their good ones, and G2 are just at the minute dismantling them. And that's, as you say, going to start creating a little bit of fear, I think, for teams who maybe think, yeah, Consulate could be a choice for us. All of a sudden, if you're up against G2, maybe it's not.
Yeah. Boogeyman always hovers Fuse and plays it into the start of a round and then tends to attack a repick away. Thought then for a second when we got into the last 7 seconds, I was like, is he actually going to stick it? Because they're attacking onto the ground floor site, not the end of the world, but has changed away last minute onto the Nomad. Would love to just see something a bit crazy brought out like that, because clearly playing standard Siege here, G2 are just rolling over them, up 3-0, barely a kill to their name on the other side at this point. I mean, look, 5 kills across 3 rounds. It's not started out well for Dplus at all.
No, it hasn't. They're struggling to get into this. They're struggling in a lot of cases, Des, just to get inside of the map. They're getting sort of into the first room, and they're not able to build beyond that. They certainly haven't gone as far as taking any real control of anything. In terms of this round, they're not inside of admin yet. Alamau's going to be right up in the faces if they try to go in there. Again, he's going to be feeding that information back into his team. You've got Courted on the window, repelled and ready, but
they're down 5 drones already inside 60 seconds.
Down 5 drones, 60 seconds, nobody inside of the map yet.
Ooh,
and it's difficult, but Woogie,
that's a bit of a god shot. Jesus. It's basically found Uno cross map there. That's the pulse taken offline. Great utility agent to remove as the attackers as well. Removes the C4 offside. Good start for Dplus.
They need now to get themselves inside the map, start finding some of that control. Courted has been able to push in. He's supported by Soldier out in copy as well. So Dplus is starting that push across the top floor. It's going to be up to Doki on the other side to be trying to hold on. Benja supporting as well. Yas is moving up. So Dplus are now getting the numbers upstairs. They're starting to, pressure G2 a little bit, make them think about their location. How long do they hold on for? How much time do they try to burn?
They found Benja, who they know is trying to play for a C4 from below. Not sure where he slipped away to, though. They'll be chasing him down here, trying to find. There we go, found once again. He's got to be careful, because he will get pushed here. There's someone pushing in, I think, above him as well. In fact, he's got support as well. That's the ideal part here. G2 looking to back him up. They know how deadly he is with those C4s. Why not give him some cover at the same time?
Yeah, Dplus now pretty much got that top floor, so they're going to start working to soften things up on site. But Virtue, he knows somebody's going to come in through yellow door. And this is the thing, there's 2 players stood watching the same angle, except one of them can wait forever and the other cannot. Dplus having to push in here. It's going to be Woogie. Virtue hears him, goes down and gets himself an easy kill. That's going to level things up as Doki finds Jas as well. 3 versus 3, 30 seconds. The clock is going to become the 6th man if Dplus aren't careful, Des.
They're a lot on the west side of the building, I want to say, here as well. Yeah, all scattered out that way. You've got the Dokebi moving in on the ground floor, but outside of that, sorry, up on the 2nd floor, but outside of that, the focus is entirely out towards yellow, so Virtue's going to be the main man here. He's already found Coated lower down, looking for a second. Doki gets another, and Virtue completes the 3K.
Again, Dplus just never really getting into a position. They sort of did, I want to be positive about them. I'd, said they'd not really got much map control previously. They went a step further. They got step 1 done.
You're making it too easy!
I think Alamau might think it's easy.
Well, the whole team were contributing earlier on when they were, while all chat was off screen, they were saying easier than scars. 3 of them all contributed towards that little line. So.
Yeah, so Dplus, they went a step further this time. They got top floor control. Great. What did they do with it? Not very much. No. G2 weren't playing heavily inside of sight. They were keeping themselves out of those lines of sight. Even with 25 seconds left to go, when you saw Harper die on yellow stairs at the end there, he had diffuser in hand. He was just scrambling to try and get down into sight. but they didn't have any control. They didn't have any option to try and put the diffuser down on the ground. Like, that wasn't going to happen. This is Harper then rushing downstairs, gets caught out with that shotgun from Virtue. You know,
Three of them
not
in yellow,
in a
by the way,
position.
died
Yeah,
him.
3 of them on yellow. There's just not in a position or even anywhere close to being able to execute and put that diffuser down. So, Dplus, you've done the first step that I asked. You've gone in, you've got yourself that map control of least of top floor. Next up, we need to see you get control of site. Create a space to be able to put that diffuser down. Alternatively, you need to go out and clear the roamers, clear the roam game. Anybody from G2 playing even on a semi-roam, anywhere outside of site, you need to go in, win those gunfights, create space and force G2 to play completely turtled up inside of site, you know, in a 2vx or 3vx. Again, something Dplus haven't been able to do yet. I say it like, just go and do it. G2 are making it very, very difficult for them.
I keep on keeping counts on the kills as well. You know, 7 kills in 4 rounds. They're keeping below that 2 kill per round average at the minute, which again just shows that dominance that we've already seen coming out of G2. For me, it's the things like when Virtue sat on yellow, again, unable to be drone because they're being choked out by the mute, by the Solus, things like that. And he's able to just maneuver himself as he wants around yellow stairs, pick up a freebie by shooting the Nomad in the back and then spinning around and taking down 2 more. Those are the kind of situations that will end rounds quite single-handedly. I love this, by the way. Back on the second floor, I spoke about them not playing the shield in the last round. This time around, they aren't just playing a shield, Tim. They're playing 2 of them. They've got the deployable down from the Clash and the Clash herself obviously running around, which means this is a new problem for Dplus to have to figure out. So G2 still showing them respect and bringing along different setups to keep them having to figure out new problems.
This is horrendous from Uno.
It is gross, isn't it?
It is absolutely horrendous. He's got the ADS above the drone hole to stop it all getting naded out. He's got the drone blocker. It's horrible. Doki's going to keep putting that keeper barricade. Bag needs to be careful. He still has a little angle through there. Can't find his man, though. So, yeah, G2 at the minute completely in control of the top of Visa Stairs. Dplus, they've only got Yas over there, to be fair. So maybe they don't play into it. Maybe they're going to look for, you know, a push directly into site on the opposite side, which might not be a bad idea.
I think they're trying to go through Cubby a little bit. You've got one angling on that way. You've got 2 out towards the west side as well. They really are trying to change things up here. Harper's the one that I'm trying to look out for. This is the problem. They're still trying to figure things out. Harper really I've been looking at because he's the one with the hard breach in back pocket. He's the one to open a critical wall for them. But at the minute, hasn't used a single exothermic. They've got 45 seconds still to play with. They're getting swung on for free. It's absolutely crumbling once again.
It is 4 versus 3 as Benja steps out of that breach, manages to get one. Alamau finds another. Virtue's challenging onto the window here. He's actually going to give himself away as Woogieman was ready for that one. Plant is going down. Soldier might be able to stick this. He's just going to be given a bit of extra juice from the Finker, and he's, there you go, going to give it another go now. I think there's nobody in a position to challenge. All of G2 are over on this far side, and they're going to have to move back in a retake. This is actually very difficult for G2. You've got Soldier out of the window as well. Woogieman was already on rappel. It's going to be very, very difficult to get onto this diffuser.
And 2 different angles. Really need to make a play down yellow stairs here and make a run out happen. But the Claymores, as we've already seen, has claimed 1 victim this round. Benja needs to respect that there may well be another one ready and waiting.
I wonder if Uno could block the window off with the shield. I don't know if he's going to give it a go. He's right up there. Benja does get taken down, and with Uno being the last alive now, it's not going to be an option. I don't think the Clash is tall enough is the problem. They've had the upside down rappel, so Dplus did that very well, took their opportunity. As we said, they've struggled with the top of Visa Stairs. You know, I said coming into that round, Dplus, please create a bit of space, give yourself an opportunity to put the diffuser down, and that's exactly what they did. They spotted the gap, which from G2, I feel like G2 were maybe a little bit too confident with the fact that, yep, we've got top of Visa Stairs locked down, and Dplus were like, that's fine. Lock it down, because we're going nowhere near there. You know, they sent Yas in there as a token force, just have a few pot shots, make them think that that's where the push is coming from, that there's a bit of a tension from the admin side, and they get in and get a very simple plant down inside of that window, and I like it from Dplus, not overcomplicating matters. And like I say, G2, once you've got 2 players outside of that window, it's almost impossible. Like I say, I think Uno on the Clash is just not tall enough. The shield isn't tall enough to be able to protect somebody on disabling that diffuser.
The thing is as well, like, Dplus come from a region where this kind of aggressive play style isn't exactly uncommon. Jumping out windows, 2 players throwing themselves out of windows. Not really much more you can do when you've got an execute coming on that side of the map. But I think it was good to come prepared with those claymores, with someone watching the windows while the plant was down as well, rather than both staring at the diffuser. Just did all the right things in that round. They get at least 1 point on the board, which I'm sure is going to rile Alam out right up. Let's see how the half ends, if it can be a 5-1, or if Dplus can steal, and I say steal because it will feel like one, if they can steal a 2-4 half.
Yeah, I agree. I think if G2 go in at 2-4, they'll probably kick themselves a little bit because the opportunity has definitely been there for the 5-1 or even the 6-0 at times. But maybe that round will wake Dplus up. We've got Woogieman just working his way across the mid-floor at the minute before heading up towards top. We've got G2 in the same position. They're on the top floor site again, deciding obviously that they're not going to let a window plant go by that easily this time around. Uno all the way down in the basement. This is an old Consulate trick that we used to see. Pulse all the way down there, just feeding that information in for anybody trying to push from the east side.
Ready. Straight away trying to challenge up the stairs. Great angle being held by Woogie, but doesn't find the head of Benja. At the very least, it gives that pressure to G2, knowing that there is someone potentially playing at the bottom of these stairs, and it will pincer them in slightly. The beauty here being, with Uno downstairs in the basement, he can tell them he's either still there or he's not, so it's no longer phantom pressure. It's no pressure at all now that it's pulled away.
Uno just picking 1 heartbeat up on his scanner there. Likely Woogieman, he'll feed that information back into his team. Not sure he's going to get drawn out here. Woogie's just trying to find out what's going on. Doki will be picked up, but straight back up those Visa stairs. Woogie, however, does find Benja. That is a great opener for Dplus. Halfway into the round, 1 minute 30 left as Virtue levels things up with 1 onto Yas, 4 versus 4. And just looking at the minute, Dplus are getting themselves inside of admin as well. So as much as they've had a good start here, there's a little bit of a concern for me that they're just going to find themselves again pushing headlong into that G2 defense at the top of Visa stairs and struggling to clear it.
Still unifying Doki sat in here, just burning down the clock with those keeper barriers as he has done every single time they've played this top floor. I tell you what, I didn't expect to see a ghost coming up the bottom of those stairs as well. 3 players from Dplus slowly starting to work their way through. Uno coming in behind for the backstab. He's going to get rid of Woogie. That stairs cleared yet again. And Uno has just been stalking him the entire round, Tim.
Yeah, it's been difficult for Dplus because they know they can't get away with the plant that they did last time. Harper manages to not only to open the wall, but find the kill onto Doki as well. Uno, however, finds quartered elsewhere, and Harper on about 5 HP is left with 30 seconds to find 3 kills. Can't find 1 as Uno shuts him down. Good game so far from Uno, and that's going to be G2 taking a 5-1 half and looking so comfortable on Consulate.
And I just love, again, the variety of strats they've brought out there. The very heavy intel denial game, the very heavy shield reinforcement coming up on the main corridor on that top floor. And really, it was only 1 round where Dplus still sent Yas out towards admin side to run distraction, really, and drag them over. In fact, Tim, we could pull in Titan for a quick chat about this one. Titan, my friend, how's it going?
Hello, hello. Thank you again for having me.
No problem at all, mate. Well, give us a talk through that half. I really want to ask you first and foremost, though, about the very heavy Mute, Mozzie, Solis setup you guys have got. Just complete an intel shutout. Was that part of the game plan, or just so happened to be that case where Dplus were then getting shot in the back half the round?
No, it's definitely part of a basic game plan that we have. We know that they need lots of information for what they want to do, so it's just a simple sort of basic game that we want to play to just prevent that entirely. So that's general gist of the idea of it.
Thinking about the map, Titan, coming in, obviously we heard Dplus yesterday say how Consulate, you know, quite openly, Consulate's one of our better maps. We like playing there. Is that something that you've lent into, confident that you could beat it, or were you more focused on your own game coming to Consulate?
I mean, we know how strong we are on Consulate. They might have an imagination in their heads that they think they're good at it. I think we're proving the point that they're really not, to be honest. So, simple as that. Very.
Ooh, I think I'll talk to you about some quotes you gave me the other night after this game, Titan. I can't wait to talk to you about it, mate.
Sure thing. No problem.
No worries, mate. Catch you later and good luck for the second half.
Thank you.
I love that. I love how even Titan's got a bit of smack talk in him. Let's go, Titan!
5-1 half. Can you say it's wrong?
I tell you what, I think Alamal's rubbing off on him a little bit.
I think maybe it is, but one way or another, Dplus are struggling here on Consulate. They said yesterday they felt it was one of their better maps, but G2 have certainly had the run of things so far. Let's see though if that carries on in the second half. G2 now find themselves on the attack. They're going to be attacking onto Garage. They've got that wall opened up at least to begin with inside of 30 seconds, so quick progress from G2 here. Definitely got a good idea of what they want to do, where the focus focuses. Pretty much all of them stacked up towards the west side at the minute, towards bottom yellow, towards garage, you know, looking for that sort of old school Consulate push onto this site.
Just like, it really screams the difference in the two teams, right? We're a minute in, and G2 has still got 9 drones alive, even with the Solus and the Mute on the other side. It's that composure that I spoke about yesterday for G2. It just feels well drilled, and they're not making any silly mistakes like burning drones for no reason. The problem here being that Doki might get swung on at any second, as there is one off towards his right that I don't think he's fully aware of. Managed to get away with it. Who cares?
He has now.
Oh, here comes Coated. Oh, I mean, again, trade play from G2. Beautiful once more.
I'm going to bring up yesterday's point, though. I'm sorry to do it, Doki. But Doki was bringing that Dokkaebi yesterday, and again, not making much use of that universal gadget. Not making much use of those phone calls because he was losing his life before he got to that point, before they were really utilised. And again, inside of 1 minute 20, that Dokkaebi's off the board. If it's going to be available, we've seen a high ban rate for that operator. Where it's available and you can utilise it, you want to make sure you're getting every drop out of the abilities, out of the utility, everything else. So again, Doki, we need to see on the attack that operator getting into those later stages as well.
Absolutely. Well, really, the other thing I'm looking at is the fact there's a Thermite and 2 sets of hard breach gadgets, both in the back pockets of Alamau and Uno. They really wanted to guarantee that they had some hard breach coming into this round, even though it's devolved into a little bit, I don't want to say team deathmatch, but it has been this bit of a frag-heavy game, chasing each other around. I know we've only had the 1-for-1 so far, but you can just see with how everything's angling up here that this more likely than not come down to a lot of kills.
Uno's just going to be holding that angle on the breach, hoping for anybody to move themselves past pillars into yellow stairs. Virtue moves up there, so that should free Uno up to take an alternative angle, which indeed he does. He's just going to look a little bit deeper instead, looking to support Virtue's push in towards side. Get taken down. Alamau found one along the way. 3 versus 3, but G2 will lose this by attrition if this carries on. Harper manages to pick up Benja. Soldier onto Virtue. 3 versus 1. Alamau, unlikely to be able to do anything, and a better round for Dplus as they get themselves onto the defence, and boy oh boy did they need that one. 2-5.
They absolutely did, Tim. You're spot on, and I think there's a moment of siege time in there for G2 on 2 instances, but I'll give it to Harper entirely. As soon as he hears the flash coming out, that to him isn't a God took away hide. That is the, okay, now I need to swing. Because off the back of that flash, he knew that an execute would happen or more utility would follow, a player would make a move, whatever it might be, and he just goes straight for the breach player, finds Uno, ready to drop a smoke. His gun's not even at the ready. It's the freest kill of his life, and it leaves the diffuser down outside the garage door. So great response by Dplus here in the moment, especially Harper there, but a good hold, and G2 might not quite be the walk in the park they were hoping.
Maybe not. We will see as it progresses. I think the basement can be a tough one to attack onto, but to be honest, this isn't going to be any easier up on the top floor, depending on how Dplus deal with that right-hand side, that eastern side of the map.
Yeah,
but we will see as they go whether G2 can create space where Dplus were unable to. But the last round is anything to go by. It doesn't suggest that it will be as easy as they thought. G2, I felt lacking a little bit of verticality. Des. They didn't get in there. Garage is one where you can really get in above, get control of piano, exposition, that sort of area, rip up the floor, much like you used to on Consulate, and create those vertical angles, make it difficult. You know, you had 2 Dplus Kia players that were just stood in the same position for the entire round pretty much and picked up those final kills. Get the roof open above them, guess what? They're not standing there anymore. So, you know, maybe a little bit more sort of verticality would have been useful.
What in the heavenly hell is this comp? Amaru, Sense, Grim? Like, you're lucky to see one of those normally, but 3 on the same lineup? Admittedly here, not needing too much in the way of hard breach. Like, you can just get yourself opened up on side of break, for example, with one of those. Slowly chew your way through. You haven't really got any big reinforcements open up, so I think this is not really a bad idea. And clearly G2 is looking to make full use of the flexibility they've got that, or this is going to be a super well executed, execute with the Sense and the Grim locking out the defenders entirely, and Alamau then being the one to spring somewhere and get a plant down. And I wouldn't be shocked if we look towards a hatch that you might find him coming up through there.
Butter's just going to be holding that tight angle inside a meeting for the time being onto this. Uno just sending plenty of track stingers directly on into sight, suggesting that they were going to look to get themselves established in there. He's ready to go. I love this use of Amaru later in the round sometimes. You know, people think about that initial speed, that rush, that push at the beginning of the round, but no, I think, you know, get those defenders busy, get their heads turning, get them looking somewhere else, and then spring the trap, get into an unexpected position, and that's exactly exactly what Alamau is hoping to do.
They wanted the Bees to go deeper onto the Azami, I think, who's not been hit by them, and that was going to be the trigger for Alamau to go, but here he goes anyway. He's going to give it a good whirl. He's straight inside as well. Woogie off onto one. Alamau's going to find one posted off towards the other side as the sense rolls on through. It is full blind for both teams here, but it's a 3v2 for G2.
There's a good possibility this works out for G2 as another kill comes in. Benja onto Woogie Man. The diffuser is not going down. It's not even in hand, so they're going to have to find kills here. They're looking for the last man, Harper. He's just wriggling, trying to stay alive at the minute. Manages to find one after they found him, but there's still two hunters on his tail at the minute, and he is low health, just hovering inside a bathroom, hoping to catch one and make this a 1v1. But G2 very smartly have taken the foot off the gas. They've gone and found that diffuser, and Alamau is getting the plant down. I love that from G2.
Very nice.
Doesn't need it in the end, but that was definitely the right decision.
It was, and this is one thing that the desk spoke about a bit for G2, and from speaking to some of the people around G2, objective focus has kind of become a large part of their game now, is looking towards, okay, how can we get the plant down? How can we make this work as a round without having to go and hunt down all 5 players? Obviously, if the situation presents itself and you can kill all 5, you're 100% going to do that. But that there, I think, for me, like you say, was real. Respect being shown. Don't go hunting for the kills, even though he's 1 HP. Let's take our time with this a little bit, and that's exactly how they've got themselves up to 6-2, match point in this first game of day 2 of phase 2.
Yeah, I think it was just recognising that situation, and it's a situation we've probably all been in. You know, you get towards the end of a really explosive round, which is what that was. You're 3 versus 1, and all of a sudden everybody's just kind of, you know, running around aimlessly, looking for that final kill, whilst the one defender can hold one line of sight, pick up 1, pick up 2, and all of a sudden it's a 1v1 and you've got a difficult situation. So I like that G2 were just able to hit the brake there, say, let's slow down, we're running around here, we're going to end up running into Harper, we don't need to, let's just get that diffuser down. So really, really good from them. That sends us into round 9 then. It's going to be match point for G2 here. They could send themselves on to 2-0 in Swiss if they win this round.
I love how, like, trying to think about our predictions, very few of us actually put G2 down to go 3-0 in this phase.
You just can't trust them lately, it feels.
You can't sometimes, it's always the battle.
As much as you'd love to, it's like you're just through stage 2. You know, once bitten, twice shy.
That is very true, very true.
I'm going to get a t-shirt that says I was bitten by G2.
And now I'm shy
and now
twice.
I'm shy.
I love how the Maestro's been brought along here as well. Rarely see that operator being brought along anymore, but clearly for Dplus, the intel game that brings along in place something like a bulletproof cam, of which there are none in their back pockets for that reason, does really help things out. And particularly when a lot of operators these days are quite slow, like you're seeing mutes off on the roam, for example. It's a little bit mental, but with the slower roamers being out and around the map, you can kind of see things like the Maestro actually being a bit more acceptable to bring along into team comps, even if most teams aren't doing it at the moment.
Attacking this time onto Piano, then we'll see whether G2 apply a similar level of focus onto the top floor to begin with. We did see Dplus Kia take control of that when attacking this site, but they were unable to really use that vertical superiority to their advantage. So G2 maybe not doing the same. Doki's just going to look to walk on into site. He knows this one there. He thought there was an opportunity for a quick cheap kill, but he has to turn back to take down that default cam, or he finds himself at major disadvantage. Harper is going to cut him down with the Alder.
And Benja's gone down to a Capcan trap. Wonderful. I think even with Oak coated at the long angle after opening up that wall and Doki knowing there was a player there, it's still the Maestro that walks away with that initial kill. Uno's got the right idea here, steps in, easy shot onto the head, and there's no one really around to stop Uno here, being inside of sight and getting a plant down. If he drops the smokes, at least he's safe on that cover. Otherwise, Yas could be a little bit of a party stealer.
Yeah, I think maybe just moving around a little bit too much inside of sight at the minute. Uno is going to walk himself into trouble if he's not careful. Takes the shots, sees the man up above. Alamau manages to level things up. Uno thinking about a plant, but can't do it while Yas is above.
He's also being watched by one of these cameras as well, so it's a bit difficult at the moment. Even with smoke down, they're going to be able to see what's going on, even if it is tucked in behind that table. And by the looks of it, Dplus might have done this unless Uno can clutch up big here. He's got to find both Yas and Soldier.
Yeah, it was a 1 versus 3 to begin with. He's got the first, but 2 more to find. And with that verticality above him, it's not going to be easy. And this is where G2 might actually rue not going in and taking that top floor. They've decided to go straight to site, but this is the gamble. This is the risk that you take in doing so. And right now, all that Uno can do is sort of just reposition himself, see if he can get away from that long angle, but he cannot. Yas is going to find his shots, take Uno down, and that's going to be Dplus keeping themselves alive for another round.
Absolutely, and Titan smack talk at the half is slowly weakening here as Dplus pick up the odd round here and there. 2-1 so far in this half, not been a bad outcome for them at all. It is the defensive side of Consulate given, but they're playing it very well. And I'm with you, I think actually that round is a great example of why vertical play is such a powerful thing in Siege. You don't have that vertical control. They were just constantly scared of the gap that had been opened up, and where Yas was sat watching from, they knew it was never safe to get the diffuser down.
So what I'd say there is, vertical control is not essential, but what you can't do is give it up to the other team. So, you know, for example, if Dplus weren't playing above, if Dplus Kia would just play inside, maybe one, you know, roaming down in the basement or something, what G2 did would have been absolutely fine. But G2 have failed to recognise they've got 1-2 players upstairs and they've got holes already created, ready to go. It was part of the Dplus Kia plan to be able to hold on to site from up there. And in that case, it becomes, you know, a nice to have becomes an absolute essential. You have to go in and take that top floor, because otherwise you're just going to get cut down like that. There's no space inside of that site when the top floor is still in the hands of the defenders.
This time round, they are clearly very, very focused on trying to get themselves control of the upstairs. They've got the Ram on side coming along for Uno. Assuming he doesn't go down early, this could be very easy for them. They've also got the Sledge and the Buck on side. Tons here to make this happen. The only thing I'm at least a touch nervous about is the real lack of hard breach. The only thing they've got is 2 in the back pocket of the Buck. If Buck goes down early, if they can't get the wall opened up, for example, what then? They have to go around a different angle to make this work, and Benja has gone straight into a frostbite. Unfortunate.
Honestly, I cannot tell you how happy I am, Des, that you can get yourself out of frost mats now.
Tim, for those who don't know, is a frost mat magnet. You just
the
don't know
amount
how.
of times I will now be able to hide the fact that I've gone into a frost mat by just not saying anything.
But you won't, because now you have a blood trail that follows you around the entire
I know
map.
that, but I mean from my teammates that hopefully don't see it.
I see.
There's a good chance I just get myself back up, keep my mouth shut, and get on with the round.
I see. Oh, Tim, why are you on 20 HP? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I think I should put you down to 15, but numbers, who cares? Onwards we march for Dplus in this round. I think when you're seeing G2 working their way across the entirety of the top floor and down onto the ground floor, does show they want to make sure that this is a very, very secure part of the map for them to get to work on the verticals. So it will still probably be another 20 seconds or so. I'll say that. Actually, they've already got to work inside of Expo, just those ram gadgets. She's ramming a hole through the floor, the whole way through to open everything up. It's going to feel like the sky is falling for members of Dplus, in fact. And it will force them to get out of Garage and have to play a bit deeper. But let's not forget, Tim, that's where they played last time. And already, G2 have gone fishing and found one on the vertical.
Vertical superiority paying dividends. Woogieman was actually a little bit closer to an engagement than maybe he realised there. I think he's still considering getting himself up those stairs and getting a little bit aggressive. But for the time being, he's just sort of holding the line and waiting. But the drone is going to go down and will surely, there you go, pick them up. They're playing at the bottom of the stairs. So Soldier has to drop away, but look at this. You know, they're like ants over a picnic at the minute, G2, just absolutely swarming over that top floor, looking through every vertical, trying to pick up another kill. And I think if they get another one, that'll be the signal then to get themselves down into sight.
Really want the shield out the way here, should get taken away this time. And he gets a player! Harper! Not quite respecting the fact that when Aid's coming in from above and pays the price. He knew that one went off just a few seconds prior, but with those kills, it means they could try and look in for a plan. Doki taken down does open up a little bit of a hole. Woogie finding 2, Woogie making it a second. This is dangerous, real dangerous for G2.
Yeah, Woogie's gone huge for his team there, desperately needed. Has a little game ring around the rosy to play here. Cannot find his man, but eventually does. Kicks down Virtue, it's all up to Benja. 1v3 after being in a frost mat. Surely not, Des. He's got diffuser in hand. He's just trying to bait out the attack. He wants the gunfight, but I don't think that Soldier's going to give it to him.
And he knows that he's going to be planting at this point as well, so Soldier can just play a little bit more. Benja had the right idea, to be fair to him. Soldier was rounding the corner in that last second or so and almost managed to nail it. Just Soldier clearly had the read that he was coming and managed to get that shut down. Benja almost dragging that round over the line for G2 though. Tim, it starts to look a little bit dicey now. It's 6-4. Suddenly, that lead from that first half has evaporated. Forgot my own lesson here, Tim, is that there are 2 halves to a game of Siege.
Certainly are. I mean, What better advert could we have had for the Frost change there than if Benja had won that?
Well, that was actually a bingo thing for Fresh.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
His reworked Frost mat wins the round,
And I tell you what, it was Fresh has been holding his breath on that one because it was very, very close. Benja just one gunfight away from winning that 1v3 after picking himself up after going into that Frost mat on entry. So here we go then, Dplus Kia, they get themselves another round on the board, 4-6. The fight back is on. They're going to have to win 2 more back-to-back, though, if they want to keep themselves in this.
Oh, Woogie. What a rat.
Beautiful, beautiful. We love a good rat play.
We do. And what I love is the chaos that they had dancing around Pillar, not just for this one, but he wins his fight and he's like, oh, I can breathe. And then suddenly someone drops next to him and he's like, oh my God, there's another one. What do I do? Managed to win out the gunfight regardless. Still, very exciting. Dplus could well be dragging us through to a much closer game than we anticipated.
We're going to be getting ourselves into every time what could be our last round. It's 6-4. G2 only need 1, of course. It's going to be round 11. But Dplus Kia, to be fair, at the half, you would not have thought that they would be pushing for every round of regulation. But once they've got themselves onto the defense, they've had a couple of close rounds, but they've got it done. And they keep themselves fighting here. It's going to be up to the top floor this time around. Console that they try to hold on to.
I'm semi-sure in the last round I called them down 1+. Which actually maybe is how they're looking like now. They're looking like an upgraded version of what we've seen before. A great performance yesterday, at least here in the second half, are putting on a hell of a show. But no doubt their attacking prowess is going to have to improve if they're going to make a deep run here at the Major. Benja starting off here looking in towards window with a nade flying in from above, but nothing to be found, at least deep inside the sight for now. A couple of players stacked up. Doki also with a nade on side. One thing G2 have done well in this half, I'll give it to them, is really good use of the nades.
Uno's going to pick up Yas. That's a great start for G2, of course, looking for that one round that's going to get them this. Virtue's getting absolutely hassled from every which way. Soldier picks one, courted the other, and Benja levels things out with a trade at 3 versus 3 now. G2 getting aggressive again. We've seen this from them already, but on low health, he can't win the gunfight. Soldier cuts him down with a headshot. Benja gone. 3 versus 2 Dplus Kia. They could be taking us all the way to 12 here, Des.
The reaction time of some of these pros just terrifies me. Like, Benja's rounded that corner first, and Soldier has still hit left mouse button, found his head first. Really good stuff, and they're holding up firm here, Tim. I'm absolutely with you. I'm not going to say that it's out of reason that Alamau and Uno can't clutch this in a 2 versus 3. They've still got half a round to play with, for example, but you can see they're a little bit short on options, and Woogie just shows a little bit too much of himself, quite literally, to Alamau, who brings it to a 2v2.
Yeah, it's difficult. You look at that and think, is there any reason for him to be taking a look around that door realistically? But they need the information at the same time. Soldier is low health. Uno just trying to bait them out a little bit at the minute, and it works. He picks up 1, he picks up 2, he picks up Consulate as G2 send themselves onto 2-0 in the Swiss here in Atlanta.
Like I say, you just can't count any of these G2 players out when they're in a man-down situation. They still have the chance to bring it back. A little bit nervy in that second half, admittedly, but they'll take a 7-4, Tim. Pretty comfortable win, and G2's run through this Major, plain sailing, I'd argue. Yes, it looks like it so far.
Yeah, G2 looking pretty good today. Dplus Kia, props to them. They made a good go of it in the second half. You know, they really did. After G2 were well on top in the first half, they showed good resilience to fight back into it, but ultimately G2 just had the legs. They just had that little bit more.
You would beg that question if maybe a round back in that first half had gone the way of down when we were talking about it in the Dplus Kia. If you've seen them go around in, say, round 6 where we were talking about this a little bit, a 4-2, suddenly you start thinking overtime actually becomes probably a guarantee at that stage, given what we've just seen from that second half. But hindsight, 2020, all that good stuff. G2 will play someone tomorrow. If they win that game, Tim, in a best of 1, they make it to the main stage.
Yeah, it's as simple as that now for G2. One more win will get the job done. But if I know Siege, things are rarely ever quite that simple. And let's not forget, given that we're in a Swiss, they will be playing another team that are 2-0. So G2 will have their hardest challenge yet, you would expect, to come tomorrow.
Yeah, the Dplus 1-on-1, you still get another chance to lose. You can go 1-2. It then becomes about not getting knocked out in the losers best of 3 if they go down to that lower end of the bracket. Because as a reminder, only 8 teams make it out of this 16-team bracket. It can be pretty terrifying prospects if you start losing a couple of games. But Tim, I hear that Uno is ready for an interview over on the desk, so let's throw over to Jacob and the gang now.
Yeah, somehow we managed to grab Udo for the interview after G2 knock off Dplus on Consulate. Laxing, you wanted to talk to this man, and for very good reason, because that was a phenomenal performance.
Well, he's an OG like me. It's been a long time. Welcome. I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you're finding success. Big question to you. Obviously, congratulations on the win, nonetheless.
Thank you.
What's the big difference between this G2 roster versus the last G2 roster you were on?
Well, obviously, last G2 roster I was on was more of the OG guys.
Yep.
I think we played more of the old game style. Now we have this new leader, Carl. He brings this new game style that I honestly didn't even know about before I joined. So I think it's more about bringing a new type of way of playing.
And play.
Yeah.
Nope, for sure. Anything for you? Because I got a lot of questions.
No,
so.
for fair. Rumor I hear behind the scenes is that you guys are a very vibe-oriented squad. It's like the strats are already there. The compositions that you have are already there. You came in and added some defaults to the team back when you joined from Heroic. So how pivotal is it for when the vibes or the attitudes on this team? Is that very contingent on G2's success?
Yeah, I think it is. But also we have played great when the vibes haven't been that great. But I think the vibes are one of the biggest reasons why we're playing good right now.
Sure. For sure. Another question for you is, what do you feel you bring personally to this team?
I think, obviously, I can't speak on their behalf. I wasn't in the team when they had previous players, but I think I bring more the end round calling and helping call, focusing on plans. That's basically what I do the best. I can call the plans, what we do, where I need people and stuff. So I think that's just been a good addition.
You saw it was Consulate because Dplus had already played this bad boy yesterday. What was going through your head when you saw that was the map you were going to?
I think we knew that they put up a strong showing, 7-1 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they probably thought that we would be scared or something, but nah, our Consulate is way better. So.
Fair play.
Well, you guys look like you were closing it out a lot sooner. What happened in those last 2 rounds?
Small mistakes, positioning mistakes on those attacks, I would say, more like that.
Because me and Jacob were hearing you. We heard the executes going, and then just immediately you heard someone go, ah, or ooh, and then it just kind of then just went into the next round. Then we heard DP getting hype. But you guys, what I've noticed, every single round, even if you guys lose, everyone is still cheering. Everyone is still happy. Like you were just talking, the vibes. So that obviously plays into what you were talking about, just overall the vibes of the team. No one's down on those lost rounds, and that's such an important mental to have for this roster.
Yeah, I agree. Nice classes.
Oh, I had to dress for the occasion for you guys. You guys brought it out in me.
All right, you obviously had first game of the day, which is a bit of a curse and a blessing because now you have to wait a little bit to figure out who your 3-0 opponent is going to end up being. Anything you guys know what you're going to do just in the meantime while you wait for who your opponent is? Is it all relaxed time? Is it right back to scrims?
We're going to relax and probably watch some games and enjoy.
All right, sounds good. Anything else you want to say to the fans before I let you go, dude?
Thanks.
What about your skin? What about anything?
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
buy skins.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Sweet, there you go. Awesome, Udo. Thanks a lot again. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys.
They are now moving into the undefeated section of this Swiss bracket because at this point, all they have to do is wait to figure out who their opponent is going to end up being in round number 3. And this entire game, Lax, for the most part, was won based on how that defensive round went for G2 in the first place. Yeah. And once you switch sides, it was I don't want to say it was a foregone conclusion, but it was really close in the first half.
It was exactly what I thought. More what I was saying in the beginning is if they can put up that wall that they were putting up against Scars, but they did it on a defense side at first, and it was just right there. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't find a way to get into the site, into the round. They just couldn't get a foothold in where they needed to. G2 was just shutting that down, and then they swapped sides. And that's where I think what I was saying is with, how DP can, maneuver around the map, get around is what secured them some of those rounds, but still ultimately G2 was the best.
Well, G2 was not able to let them, Dplus did no maneuvering in that matchup. And to dive into the specificities and how that went, we're going to Jesse with the breakdown.
Thank you, Jacob. Yes, I had a specific moment I wanted to bring you back to from this matchup, specifically on round number 2, where G2 did something a little bit interesting. They're defending the top floor, and we see Dplus Kia trying to push in from admin side. Now, what they've done is they've gone ahead and they've fully reinforced the admin triple wall. This can sometimes be a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because that means you can't really help out any roamers who are trying to play inside of admin. You don't have extra angles to maybe fight players who are pushing on in. But the thing about this admin triple wall is it actually has this opening at the over at the very, very top of the wall, which is perfect for explosives to fly through. And G2 know this. The only real way to deal with this wall, other than getting in or trying to take that space away from them, is with ranged hard breach coming in from the window. But as you can see, there's no ranged hard breach to be seen at all coming through from Dplus Kia. So they're not in a particularly good spot to deal with this setup. Now, I mentioned the explosives. Let's go ahead and see exactly how this plays out. Currently, it's Uno playing inside of the room, and look at Yas out on the window on the Twitch in a perfect position. And keep in mind as well, sound on LAN is very, very good. So Uno can hear when this rappel in comes on through. He's listening for the prompts. There it is. Nitrocell out. Boom. Perfect. Now, at that exact moment, they know they're not done. We see a little switch up going on. We see Uno go on out. We see the Warden come on in. That's, of course, being played by Benjamaster. And so with these two players, what you've done is you've reintroduced a C4 back into that same room. Look at the bottom part of your screen now. We've got the Flores also ready to jump on in. He flashes the room, but it's a Flores. That's not going to do anything. Jumps on in, exact same result. A perfect Nitro Cell utilized with those brilliant plays. Now, there is some comeback in this round. We see Woogieman a little bit later on the spiral stairs. The rest of his team still over in admin side. It's a 3v5 favoring G2. But with Woogieman making some good plays, he comes in from spiral. He's going to take down Uno with a great pick. Then he's going to be able to nade out a fourth player as well. That'll go towards the vending position, and that'll take down the Warden, who's already low HP. This looks a little bit better, right? Dplus, they've traded things out to the 3v3, but G2 are so proactive. First things first, they're going to have Virtue immediately grab this trade onto Woogieman. Then, if we play forward a little bit, they're going to grab immediate positions, there's the trade, to counter the rest of these two players. Take a look at what they can do on the side of Dplus now. Everybody is on the admin side of the map. They've got two places they can walk in. They can go through the door, they can go through the breach. That's it. Meanwhile, G2 have set up a nightmare of crossfires for this. You got Alamau on the door, you've got Doki on the stairs, and you've got Virtue by the vending position. All three of them perfectly in spots that they can deny this admin pushing. And if we clear the screen, take a look. You don't gotta be a wizard to figure out how this one plays out. They stall for a little bit, but when they push on in, Doki goes for a big swing, finds both kills, and wins the round for G2. It's these really strong defensive setups that really push G2 over the edge and got them their win in over Dplus Kia. They go up 2-0. So congratulations to G2, but there's plenty more games to play today. So let's throw it to a quick break when we get back with game number 2 for the day.